This is Mark from Not Square Design, and today I'm going to go over using ReCap to extract data to generate elevations from, and we'll get started here shortly. So what I have here open is a building I've been working on, and I'm going to show how we get it out of ReCap. And this one I've already cleaned up, and at the end of the video I'll come back and show you how I trimmed this stuff out and the two different things I used to do that. That's non-destructive. There are ways to create regions, and you can do that too and save these different areas so you can easily come back to them. But every time you create a region, it dramatically increases the file size. And this file, just the way it is pretty darn large. And so what I've done is, once I've trimmed it out, I accidentally did trim some extra stuff out of here because I have a mirrored type structure. I'll come back and I will fix this later, but it's not part of what I'm trying to show how to do here. So we're going to just take this image and we're going to export it. And so, I accidentally hit the wrong button there. So I'm reopening the file, and it has taken some time to fill itself in, but you don't really have to wait for it to complete this process in order to export it. I accidentally clicked on this button instead of coming down to my export before I hit and chose where I'm going to export it to. And got a file going here, and so I'm going to go down to here. We want to export an RCS file, and the reason for that is we're just creating PDFs that we're going to trace. And so the RCS on this particular one, I'm doing an east elevation with the stairs, and I've already done this, but I'm just going to overwrite it. And even though it's not completely regenerated, it doesn't matter. It will export everything. And so what I do want to do here is, now it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite the project. So yes, I do want to do that. And it's going to ask me one other thing, which is unify my project scans. And since I've renamed it, I am not overwriting my file. I'm creating an east elevation where I've used limit box and clipping to non-destructively get rid of information I don't need for this elevation, which I will show after this a little more on how I do that. Actually, I have other videos that particularly go over that specifically, that are probably better than the short thing I'm going to show at the end, or just basically bring back and show you what I had originally, and then I'll just cut a couple things out and explain that quickly. But you do want to unify the scans. And so now it's going to go through this export process, which can take a moment. So I'm going to pause the video and let that go through. So with that exported, now I'm going to click on New. And I'm in AutoCAD 2025. And I've got a template here. There's not much about it. I've just got my layers and stuff set up. I've got some layer states and different things, but there's nothing really special about the file I'm opening. Just predetermined layers, some of my text and dimensioning preferences, that kind of thing. But I don't need any of this data on here, so I'm gonna get rid of it. And once I've killed off this stuff, I'll name this title block here, so that I can keep track of my different scans. And so this one is the, let's do it, caps, east elevation, and then with stairs. Oops. With stairs. Now, once I have that named, my stuff's going to all end up over to the right, so I can move it over here. I'll just take a guess for now. And then I'll want to be in 3D, but I'm going to get some other stuff set up. So I'm going to go down to, like I said, I've got my layer filters and stuff set up. So I'm going to come into this one that's called elevation, and I'm going to make that layer. Looks like I've got two chosen here. I don't know why. There we go. And I'm going to make it into just a true yellow. All that's going to do is change the border color because I do have my other three elevations done. And so just make this south. And I try and keep the name fairly consistent. Dash with dash stairs. And then I'm going to double click on this to make it the current layer, so it'll bring it in, and then I'll just put myself in my drawing layer set. But you'll see that my current layer is the one that I just named south elevation, XREF south elevation. Now that I've got that set, one of the things that you do need to do is you'll want to go into your 3D modeling. And I have one that is called the 3D modeling my own version, just because I've got my layer states and stuff just reduced to the icons. That's really the only difference here in what I've done particularly. And so what I'm going to do is save as, and then I'm going to go to my location, make sure I'm on my correct drive that I want to be using, as built, and then I'm going to come into PDFs to trace, and then looks like I may, there we go. So here is going to be my north elevation with stairs, and we're going to change that to south. Save. And now I'm ready to import the file. So I can go to insert, and we're going to attach. It's not an XREF, it's an attach feature. So I'm going to hit the attach, and I'm looking for an RCS file, and you can change it to this RCP RCS, or you can leave it as all files. It'll see it either way. And there's my south elevation with stairs RCS. So I'm going to choose that and hit open. And you can get a preview here. It's got my chimney caps and stuff that I all gathered because of the information that I wanted. And then, so it's found the right file, and I don't have to really change much here, or anything really. And then it's checked this zoom to point cloud, which is kind of a convenient feature because it'll zoom right in on the point cloud. So it did zoom in on that. And then I can take it, and if I know a point that I want to place to this point here, I could do so. I could put it on my 0, 0. And, I've got an area that's about right, which would be right at this corner is a fairly consistent area for me. So I'm going to move my point cloud from there, and it's not perfect, but it'll get me close to my other stuff. Now, what you're seeing is the top view, and I want to draw the elevation, and you can only draw in the XY conveniently. So I'm going to go back to my home, and then I need to set that up. So I'm going to change my Z axis because we need to rotate this, and the only way to rotate is about the Z axis. So I'm going to change my Z axis to be along this point. Now I can't see it, but if I type UCS and pick UCS icon and turn it on, now I can see my Z axis is in that direction. And just to undo that, there's the world axis, and then set the Z from there to there. And now I can rotate this object, R for rotate, about this point, and you can move it if you want, but you can also just hit -90, enter, and there you've got it. And came in really close to what I want. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I'm just going to be drawing and sketching elevations off of this. Now I don't need this line anymore or that line anymore. Really never needed them. I don't need my UCS icon on anymore. So UCS, icon, turn it off, and I could get rid of that point as well if I wanted to. Now there is a tip to doing this if you want to, because I do like to see this. This is a great scan. You know, there's quite a bit of detail. They were so close. The buildings were so close to each other that I can't see the brickwork and stuff over here because the building next to it was only a couple feet away. So the scan was super close, and it didn't capture everything up towards the top. But I've got my overhangs and that sort of thing that did show up. And then I've got my front and my rear. And if you look at the top or the side or any of these, you'll see there's the building. And then I just want to be able to trace this elevation. Now, it's got some amount of detail that's in this black and white. And I love to have the other portion. Now, I need to change back to my world coordinate. So I'm going to hit world. So now, because notice I couldn't move. So now that it's in my world, I can move it over. Now I'm going to make sure I'm in my straight. I've got my polar tracking on. So when I pull out, I'm at 0, 0, and I'm going to go 100 feet. Oops, that was a move. So I want to do undo, and then I want to copy that. And I'm going to come over 100 feet, enter. And then I'm going to take this one, and when you pick it, it'll give you the contextual tab for point clouds, and I'll change my scan color to intensity. And now I've got both, so I can trace on either one. I know they're 100 feet apart, so if I draw something over here and I want it over here, I can just move it over 100 feet. If you need a reminder, there's a tip I got off another video, and you could put a line in here that is 100 feet, enter, and then you've got a line to remind yourself that it was a 100-foot distance. I don't need that, and I'm not going to use it. So now I'll move this over a bit, put it in the middle, and I'm zoomed to extents. Now I got to get a PDF out of this, and so I'm going to hit modify. Now if I hit my DWG to PDF, my settings are not going to pick anything up right yet because I need to tell it that I want a larger sheet, because I'm going to put this at 1/4 inch scale, and it's a large enough building that I need to give it some space. So I'm going to go with this E full bleed arch E sheet, and then I don't need a plot pen style. I don't need any of that sort of stuff. So then I can hit OK, and what it did was it changed just my sheet itself. Now my viewport, I just know from having done these on the other elevations that I'm going to need it larger. So I'm going to change my viewport, make it larger, and now that it's larger, I can double click inside of it and then make my scale 1/4 inch, and you'll see that it worked out very nicely in this case. You have to find your own scale, how you want to do it, and how you want to bring it in to your master drawing where you're saving all of your stuff. So now that I've got that set, let's go ahead and save it. Then I'm going to hit plot, and when I hit plot, I can hit previous. When I do hit previous, it's got the DWG to PDF, it's layout, it's got my Arch D expand E, and I want that full bleed E. And then I don't need a plot style. I don't need to change anything here. And I can say apply to layout, that way next time I hit it, I can do it. I can hit my preview. You know, it just takes up a little bit of time, but so there's no sense in doing it because I know this is going to work out. So I'll go here, then I'm going to go to my as-builts, go to my PDFs to trace, and I want to call this my south elevation with stairs. So I'm just going to get rid of this extra, which is just the tab name that was down here in this bottom corner, and that was just amended onto the end. I don't really need that. I'm going to hit save. and it's going to create the PDF. And there we have it. And if you zoom in on this, it's got some pretty good detail. So let's come down, and you can see now on this one, I have to come down to this end to see my brick and that sort of thing that showed up. Like I said, they were just so close that I really couldn't see the brick as well as I wished I could, but it shows up good enough that I can see where my ledges are and that sort of thing when I come in to trace this and create what I want from it. So that is now my PDF. And then what I do with that is I will open up and what I call is my working drawing. And so when I open my working drawing, you'll see that I have already got in my XREF files, I have got my as-built north, the front porch, there is a south, and this one is this is the south, yeah. And I have an east as well, but it's not quite shown on here yet. So with this south, what we're doing on that recap, I was waiting for it to process, and it's still processing, is this is my east elevation. So instead of waiting for this to completely finish exporting, I went to one that I already had exported. And that was my south one, but it's the same exact steps. It's just that one is just taking its time, having some issues with, I've accidentally got my hard drive really full from using ReCap and using the, it's in those three little layers, these down here, and now I can't remember what it's called. But regions. I created regions for the first time, and the files just got so gigantic it filled my hard drive up. So, not a big fan of the region feature, at least not on large projects like this. But now that this is here, I can come in, I can go to my files here, or my XREFs, and then I want to have one in here. And so I've got 3D verify. Let's just use image. That'll be a good one. So I'm going to change this to match, be my yellow. And then I want my name to change to match as well. So this will be south dash LF dash W dash stairs. Then I'll make it current. Excuse me. And with it current, I can now go to my XREF files. And the other thing I can do is switch back to just a 2D drafting mode. And now I'm in a 2D. I don't need all that 3D feature any longer. And so I'll bring in my XREF. So you can do it either way. You can stay in 3D if you want. I like to make sure I'm still drafting in 2D only to keep this stuff on the same level. And the reason I created the PDF instead of just importing the RCS file is because when you grab points, you're going to grab 3D points. But if I bring in and attach a PDF, so I'm going to insert, attach, I'm going to find that PDF. So I'm going to go to my as-built, PDFs to trace. I want my south elevation with stairs, open it, and say okay. And it's going to come in really small. And there it is. So this is because it's that 1/4 inch scale. So all I do is hit scale, grab that, put it on here. My factor is 48 for 1/4 inch. And you can see it sized it right up to be what I want it to be. Now I'm going to move it kind of out to the side, because if I choose this image, I can create a clipping boundary. And with the clipping boundary, I can get it down to a size that's easier to move around and manage. Now you can grab it by this handle if you want, and I can align it looking for lines that are in common to check my heights maybe on stairs or whatnot, and then I'll get my heights the same. And then you can see I've already started tracing this. There's a column, there's a door, window, just the different things that I've been tracing in here. And then this particular building, the front porch is falling off of it. And so I couldn't tell what heights everything were at, because they're all falling down by several inches. And so we're going to restore it. And so from the side, I can see that drop. And I can start to align my column back up where it's going to be as a finished project, because that's what I'm after. I'm going to show what we're going to end up with. So that is how you can get your PDFs from ReCap into your AutoCAD drawings in 2D and start to create elevations. This is Mark from Not Square Design. Thanks for dropping in.